We're going on the recording, but it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna broadcast it, I don't think.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And we probably won't finish today,
Okay.
to be honest with you, because it's just going to be too much, and that's okay. Um, so no worries. Okay.
Yeah, mine went on for 4 hours, Andrew. So I was there with her. We had to take a break and eat.
Yeah. I mean, it's just and that's because, like, for people that, I mean, I'm just really trying to give everybody everything, because the times are just like calling for it in a way, because this is the lifetime. So let me see if I can get my phone, like, so that it does it on its own. Okay. So Andrew, just for the record, what I do, the modality that I do is called soul realignment. So I'm just comparing your original soul blueprint, which was created at the moment that your soul was created. And so it's perfect. Um, it's got everything it needs. And since that time, you've been all over the place and had all different kinds of lives. And so we accumulate blocks and restrictions and karma that we pick up along the way. And we've spent at least the last few lifetimes here on Earth where we really had little to no tools to do much about it. And in the lifetimes that we've had here. So we just want to clear it up. We're just removing stuff or retuning it or repatterning it. We're never adding anything because you don't need to add anything. You just need to correct it to what it was originally for you, or to remove what's not you. So just know that. And so I use my higher self to access the Akashic records, which for me, I know some people think of them as in water. For me, it's more of an ether because it's fifth dimensional and I have to use my higher self. And basically, your higher self tells my higher self what you're ready to get rid of. Um, and because I'm looking for all kinds of things, third, fourth, and fifth dimensionally, um, in the mental body, emotional body, physical body, spiritual body, astral body. Um, so there's a lot of stuff, basically. Um, and everybody's going to be different. So, I'm just going through the protocol of my modality, and I'm getting uh, an answer from a chart or multiple choice or yes or no, based on the protocol that I use. And I don't see anything, hear anything, although my third eye is open. I don't use it in that sense for visualizing in the Akashic record because I'm going through my modality protocols and writing it all down. So I have to have my eyes open and be present physically. And so that's basically just what I'm doing. Um, and so the whole point of it is that we want to remove everything that's not you so that we can make room, make a void to bring in more of your higher self. And that's so that you can experience this incarnation that is going through an ascension process as your higher self in the body, um, which is something really special and profound to be able to experience because, from what I understand, it's never been done before while uh, in a body. Typically, across the universe, it's been, you know, everybody dies, all consciousness leaves the planet, and even though the planet is a consciousness, um, it upgrades, and then when you reincarnate, you're now an upgraded soul. But in this case, we're actually riding it out within the body. And but to be able to do that, we have to um, be able to change from carbon based to more crystalline based, to bring in our higher self, to have more of a light body to do it. Um, and those who can't will be leaving the planet, because it's, all the frequencies and everything is going to change and be higher and more light. And um, and that's why people are struggling now. That's why, the negatives are going crazy, being exposed, because it's also, I don't know how much you know about the cosmos and all that, but basically, if you follow the law of one, um, and all that, we're going through, our solar system goes through a solar year, so to speak. Also, our sun and our whole solar system goes around a bigger sun, and it's broken up into 25,900 or 600 years. And each one is a, a flavor, so to speak, of energies. And the one we just left held the frequency of what's called the iron core. And what that supported was a over empowered, masculine, distorted, and a distorted, disempowered female. And we know that. And so the energy literally supported it. And that's kind of how these people got ahead. What we're going into with this age of Aquarius is another 25,000 or 26,000 year cycle. And it's a diamond core frequency, which is a balanced, harmonized male and a balanced, harmonized female. And so anything that isn't that, or can't support it, or close to it, won't be able to come, if that makes sense. So that's why the negatives, the universe isn't supporting what they do anymore. And you can see it, you can feel it, you could see that they're not supported. And the only little bit of room that they've got to come with us, it's a chance, it's a possibility chance, and it's called the silver cord, which is attached to the diamond core frequency, and it would support an over empowered, like entitlist type female and disempowered male. So that's why you sort of see them empowering the Hillary Clinton's, the Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi. They're propping them up, and they're hoping if they can get any way in, that'll be their only way in, if it remains a possibility. But the last I heard, that it was just a possibility.
I don't even think those people are alive, honestly. I shouldn't interrupt it.
Well, not them in particular, but the personality, the characteristics.
Oh yeah.
That type of energy, that would be possibly supported, but it would be very small, and it's just a tiny cord off this big, huge diamond frequency. So that's sort of their only game, and that's why they started, putting energy into these distorted females that could not lead. We don't want to follow them, but so so if it's like, why are they doing that? And that's why. So anyway, basically what I look for is a positive soul, because I cannot read for a negative soul. So what is the difference? Not just what we think, but it's also how souls get their vital force energy. So positive souls have a cord, the silver cord, supposedly, that connects to source, where we get our vital force energy. And negative souls, there's two kinds. One is created without that. They're created in a whole different way, where they don't have that connection to source. Because we're in a three-dimensional dualistic environment, somebody has to hold the negative frequency in order to have that contrast here, and in order to create and learn lessons and blah blah blah. Um, but we, have to remember that the negative in how it was originally created was just a void, being the absence of what was the positive, or the form, the matter. And negative people, humans especially, turned it to be more evil. It wasn't initially, that's not how God created it. But it did become that. And when the energies supported that, they saw that, oh, well, this benefits us. And so, it just became more and more and more, till now it's like pure evilness. But God is source, is just love and light. There, um, we're everything that about the religions and the angels and demons and heaven and hell. That's all fourth dimensional mental concepts, mental projections into this third dimensional reality. And so our mental body and emotional body are fourth dimensional. Our physical body, of course, is third dimensional. Our spirit usually is fifth dimensional, and then we have the astral body to travel, and then we've got other bodies, and we have a what we call a golden web that holds them all together. And so, a negative soul will either be one that does not have that cord, so they must get their vital force energy from other people. And to do this, they create chaos and confusion, and seek drama and attention. And they must do it literally to stay alive. Um, and then there's the second type of negative soul, which are those who uh, make so many decisions that go against themselves and their divine soul blueprint, that, and this has to happen lifetime after lifetime after lifetime during each lifetime. It can't be a few negative decisions 20 years ago. We're talking patterns here, long time patterns, but they will eventually cut themselves off from source, because the way we get our vital force energy more and more and more is by making decisions that support our soul blueprint and who we are at soul level. And so the whole point of what I do is reveal to you where those blocks and restrictions are that you've agreed to go against yourself, um, consciously, or a lot of it's done unconsciously or in past lives, and it remains until we correct it. And it doesn't have to be created or corrected my specific way, but if you gain awareness of, oh, this isn't good for me, and you correct it on your own and change the pattern, then you do that. But a lot of it remains hidden. And we should have all this information. This is our Akashic record. But the negatives knew that by not having it, we would be disempowered and traumatized, and they could remain in power. So that's why they're always trying to create fear and traumatize people. Um, it makes us powerless, and it gives them all the attention, because they don't care whether the attention is positive or negative. Um, the only thing they can't deal with is attention. Inattention is to ignore them. That's where they go insane, because they'd rather have you coming after them, hating them, attacking them, because for them there's no difference between that and loving them. They just need the attention. And even just thinking about them, ruminating. So they create all these mental problems, so that you will sit and think about, oh my God, I got to figure this out, or I got to protect myself, or, how do I respond? And people can sit in that for their entire lifetime. So just knowing this can help us um, stay out of those systems, or those patterns, mental and emotional, that keep us stuck and steal our energy. So basically, I'm looking for if you have any blocks to truth, because I can't do a reading for people who have blocks to truth unless they're the type I can remove. And um, for the most part, I can't. If they're a negative soul, like I flat out can't do it. But there are positive souls who have made choices that could have, you know, some blocks to truth. Um, and that's what I look for first. And I clear those before I do anything else. And there's two things I can fix. Well, three things I can fix on that. One is soul shifting, and that's where more than one soul comes into the body. The person does not know this. They do not blank out. They do not, you know, lose consciousness. It's not multiple personalities. It is kind of at soul level, but this is not at, you know, incarnation level. But it's literally multiple souls sharing the body, and it can be anywhere from one other, which is done many times at birth, because the baby will be born and it's just not a vital, or it's not a matching vibration anymore to the parents for whatever reason. Um, and so something closer to the parents will come in. But some people, they can be soul shifting with up to 20 people. And these are, but only one soul is intended for the body. So if I can clear the rest, typically I will not, those people will not be coming to me for that kind of help. But if I can get to them somehow, I can clear those other souls if the one who was intended for the body is a positive soul. And and the big problem with that is that each soul has a different divine soul blueprint. And you will see them constantly undoing what they do in their physical life. So one soul will come in, they'll be following their blueprint, they'll make all these decisions, and then whatever the cycle is, it could be 2 hours later, 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever. The next one will come in and it'll undo everything that the previous one, and they'll just look like their life will be a chaotic mess. And they will be, you know, basically spinning in their wheels, and not getting very far, constantly in their own way. I mean, it's dramatic. You will know these people if you know this information, and then it enters your you know, life afterwards. You'll see this played out. The other is what's called a shell, and this is where and I've uncovered several of these. I think I might have even tried to do it myself at one time. It's typically again with infants, but it can be um, with anyone, and but it must be at close proximity in the physical of where souls are transitioning, dying basically, and coming in. Because what it basically is, it's like a soul level mask um, that someone will put on. It's the emotional body that the soul that's leaving has left behind. And so a baby may come in and they're fearful. It's like, I'm not safe here. And so they will do this as a means of protection. And they can, a positive soul can put on either a positive or a negative emotional body, um, just for protection purposes, because um, they might be in a family of, you know, negatives, and they're just, their light is going to be stolen. I mean, they're just going to be shredded. And I understand that. But, and so, you know, they would probably put on either you know, less positive emotional body than what they're currently carrying, or maybe even a negative one. And this is just for them for protection. Negative souls will typically put on either a positive one. It depends on their environment. They'll put on a positive one if they, you know, want to manipulate and deceive the positive souls around them. But sometimes positive souls and negative souls will put on an even more negative one. And I've seen this, and I had a friend whose ex-husband was Sicilian, straight from Sicily. She was too. And, it was literally that Godfather environment. And he was just too positive. Um, and so he wore the negative emotional body to appear more negative because that was his environment, And so, like I said, it can be used for protection or deception. Um, and so people will get used to that though. And the more they start identifying with it, like if they did it as an infant, um, by the time they're 50, they've spent their whole life, but they'll know when I bring this to their attention, they know um, that something's just been up, something they can't put their finger on it. And people take them wrong all the time and um, accuse them of things that just don't make sense to who they are. And that's why. Or I had a cousin who was she's a hospital, a nurse. And during COVID, and actually slightly before that, it was getting kind of scary. She was trying to keep her job and but she wasn't going to get vaccinated. And so, anyway, I told her that, I found this shell. Um, and for her, it was just like 5 years ago. And I'm like, this was for protection because you're a positive soul. And she's like, yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. She's like, that's when this really scary person, basically, a negative person came in who was the boss. And, it made total sense to her. So, anyway, I can remove that. The other thing is something that I found. Um, Andrew, that you are engaged with, and I run across several of this. I found it in my 3-month-old grandson. So I don't want you to think it's anything terrible, but what it basically is it's called light power imaging, and it's the equivalent of putting mirrors up around your soul, and it's basically an amplifying technique um, to basically um, it's to shine other souls back to themselves, and it's a way of just getting along better with others. And sometimes we're in situations where we have to do this, and I believe that I used to do this. I think I just cleared it before I ever did my Akashic record. I just changed my behavior. But um, like I said, I found this in my 3-month-old grandson, and I've had to clear it. um, and so I've cleared it for you. Sometimes, without knowing it, it comes back. But the whole premise is why it's negative is because you don't have to be anything that you're not. You don't have to people please. You don't have to reflect people back to themselves um, for any reason. You can be exactly who you are, um, and it's just it's not. We're trying to get to the core of our true, authentic self, and so this is just a technique that people use. Now, my grandson has been doing it for 3 lifetimes. So it might be hard for him to stop. I don't know. He's only 3 months. We'll see. This is your first lifetime. So something occurred in your life where um, it was necessary to do this. And that type of thing is showing up in your record. And I'll get to some other places where you obviously were not allowed to be yourself or were not safe or you didn't feel like it on some level. And this is at soul level. This is beyond just physical body and consciousness. But we're removing everything that doesn't belong to us. And so some of the people that I've talked to about it, I see it a lot in Leos. And you're a Cancer, you're kind of close to that. But a lot of times I've just seen this go hand in hand with Leos. And I've had people just say, "Yep, you're right. I was doing that, and I know that, and I'm working hard to stop doing that." But so just know that. I'm just going to pull it up in the book to see. Do you have any questions about that?
Is there anything I can consciously do to stay in a positive?
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to read what my the author of this modality has, so that I present it exactly how it is, and then I don't miss, because I want you to be successful with this. And so, okay, so light power imaging is a soul level technique. So this is your soul. This is not your conscious self. That masks the soul's identity. It's like they're surrounding themselves with energetic mirrors that serve as a facade device. These devices hide the nature of their soul while reflecting other people's energetic qualities back to them. Souls who employ light power imaging are often very charming people, and they reflect our best qualities back to us. So they make us feel great. So when we're doing this, we're getting a lot of positive attention. But unfortunately, the soul that employs light power imaging tends to lose itself behind its own mirrors over time. Light power imagers show up differently depending on who is around. They change their personality based on the people in their environment. And so I always have to clear this before I can move on. And so all you have to do is, because I'm going to clear it, you're going to get a burst of energy to support your ability to do this. And for you, it's just, I'm not changing who I am. I don't care who's standing in front of me, or I don't care who my audience is. I'll attract exactly what is me at the real level. And if people don't like it, they can move on to what vibes with them. And so just be very intentional about that. Because a lot of times this is your first lifetime doing it, so it's not like you're deeply entrenched. But and I'm not sure exactly when it started, but there was typically there's a reason for this to suddenly come up in this lifetime. So just let it go. We're going to remove all of this stuff that isn't you, and you're going to feel more like you anyway. And it'll feel less like, oh my God, I got to be this, and I got to be that, because it's hard to tell. These three different levels that I search for all these blocks and restrictions on. I have had to, or I've agreed to be everything practically in all three of these levels, so that I would understand all of these blocks and restrictions and karma and bad choices and negative decisions. So I have no judgment with any of this. In fact, the more your soul brings up right now, the better, because your soul is saying, your higher self is saying, you're ready to dump all of this. You're just waiting for it to be basically, and a lot of it is going to make sense to you. And you're going to be like, yep, I knew that was something, but I just didn't know how to do this or that, or bring awareness to it. But this is everything your soul says and there's a lot, and that's perfect. That's so good. And it means you're either already aware of it, or you've done the work without realizing it. I'm going to put a name or a label on it in a sense, but you've already done it, and so you're ready. So basically, I have removed that, and we will just intend. And let me see if there was anything else on that. So I have to clear these mirrors for the Akashic records to get everything else I had to get. So basically, yeah, you just reflect yourself, and whoever doesn't like something can move on. And you just be you with everybody, no matter what the crowd is, what kind of crowd it is. You know what I'm saying? So I cleared that, and what I got was your 2 energy centers, and basically you've got 2 of them, which I do also, and basically there's 8 energy centers that God or Source uses to create every soul. The first one is divine compassion. The second is divine manifestation. The third is divine order. The fourth is divine love. The fifth is divine communication. The sixth is divine truth. The seventh is divine power. And the eighth is divine wisdom. 70% of souls will have 1 energy center, 30% will have 2. My teacher also had 2. She said it doesn't mean you're any better or any less than. It's just that, but we have to satisfy both our primary energy centers to bring in more vital force energy. So for you, you are divine truth and divine love. And I'm going to read both of those out because you need to understand the positive polarity and the negative polarity, and then the dysfunction. When you get so far into the negative side of it, you go into dysfunction. This is the most important information of ever, and you may not think so because this is what kind of comes naturally, but now there'll be no confusion about decision making going forward, because this is how we get our vital force energy. We must support our primary energy center, and if we have a secondary primary, those 2. If we don't, and I have been that person, I am divine power, which is all about freedom, and divine truth. And when I was not supporting those, then my life was going to shit, basically. So I have lived that. So, and divine truth, we will birth ourselves basically into families that challenge these energy centers. So just know that. And this is how we grow, you know.
That sound right, Andrew? The things you were telling me today?
Exactly right.
Okay. So when someone is born, when a soul is divine truth, okay, there are some very distinct things, okay, and each one of them has this. Now, I will also tell you this, and if you ever need to know more, we can talk about it. But every soul is made up of all 8 energy centers. You will have at least 1% of each energy center. It's just that the percentages will make you who you uniquely are. So we're always going to work on some level with them all. But like for me, when I went to gauge and at soul level, whatever percentage it is for the energy centers, that stays with you. That's your soul level stuff. So it never changes no matter where you go in the universe. But what I found was like, for me, divine love was like, I don't know, maybe 5th, on the list for me. And I was putting the most energy into that. So I can search and see, you don't have to be exactly on the percentage precisely, but, I think mine was like 16%, and I was putting 34% of my energy into divine love. And so that means it was taking away from my divine truth and my divine power energy centers. And when you're an empath, you think, oh, well, that's the right thing to do. You're supposed to give out all this love and compassion. No, it's not. No, it's not. And, you have to learn the hard way sometimes that it starts with you and you got to support who you are. Not, the world is going to tell you how whatever they can to manipulate you to give up your energy. And that's one way they do it. So the energy center of divine truth is the truth of our divinity. This is deeply personal, highly subjective truth that differs from one individual to the next. So this is not universal truth about the whole universe that affects every bit of consciousness. This is personal to you, but it doesn't mean you're making it up or anything like that. This is true. This is a highly visual realm. So these are seers and maybe highly intuitive and clairvoyant. They may also be drawn to the visual arts and photography as a way to express truth. They are spiritual warriors at heart. They take a strong stand for truth and bring light to where it's needed. They have a gift for seeing people and situations very, very clearly as they truly are. But they override that, because I'm divine truth also, and I overrode those kinds of things to love people, to people please more. I don't do that anymore, but that, we will do that. They have incredible powers of observation. When congruent, they will tell it like it is. Outspoken individual that speaks up when something is amiss and tell the truth that everyone wants to hear. They find success when they help others uncover and take a stand for the other person's personal, unique truth and help others see themselves for who they truly are. They're natural consultants and advisors, and we inherently trust them because of their relationship with the truth. They are natural consulters and have skills that serve them well in business and in the realm of sales. Ideally, they also manage by coaching and consulting their employees into their own best way of accomplishing results. Within a corporate hierarchy, they're often the trusted advisors to their peers and beyond, the person who will speak the uncomfortable truth as needed. They often had a bullshit radar that is turned up very high and may also be natural human lie detectors. Their blunt communication style can get them into trouble. 6 energy souls must learn to speak the truth in a way that others can actually hear it. So, it isn't an excuse to be disrespectful, you know. The negative polarity. So that was what I read before, was all the positive polarity. And when you do that, you're bringing in more and more vital force energy. When you don't, you're cutting it off. Until you cut it off completely, that's how the positive souls turn negative. They completely go against their divine nature and their energy center, basically. So the negative polarity of this energy center arises when the truth is not welcome. So if you are in situations or relationships with people and the truth, it can't be presented, isn't wanted, isn't welcomed, you must address or eliminate those situations and relationships, because you're going to go negative. I mean, as a child, and I'll get a little bit into that, you can't help that. But as an adult who's now responsible, you cannot tolerate those situations. Because the truth can be highly inconvenient. And if they don't address these situations, you will see these as the strong, silent type characters. Okay. They observe these things, but they don't say much and they don't share their observation. So they might become the strong, silent type, which is certainly safer, but it doesn't allow their gift to shine. And when we're children, when we incarnate into situations where the truth is not welcome, they may be told, we don't say that, because the truth isn't always polite or convenient. Or it could go very negative, where you have to keep secrets about your parents. You can't, you feel like you can't tell on them or you can't expose them. And there are certain things you can't say or talk about. So they quickly learn to keep their observations to themselves, and we take that into adulthood. So children who incarnate into situations where the truth is unwelcome, are learning coping skills, and we'll get into that, of where we have to go against ourselves as children, because our survival is dependent upon people who will not allow us to survive if we are who we ourselves, our true selves. And this started, back when we were much, more in primitive type societies. So basically, when we grow up in that type of household as a child, we basically assume that other people don't want to hear what we have to say, or they can't handle our perspective, that we may be called liars, we may be confused. What is the truth? They're telling me that this truth that I'm seeing and experiencing, and talking about, they keep telling me it's not true. So we have to examine that and find out, is that really true, or am I delusional? I mean, we'll go through this. So a lot of times, and you'll see that this today, where they'll completely withdraw into a visual medium that speaks for itself. So these are the people who are into photography, visual arts, graphs, charts, lots of selfies. And this is what's speaking their truth for them, because it's not safe to actually say it. But a picture, as they say, is worth 1,000 words. And the picture isn't, it's expressing its own truth. And it's kind of a way for a child to not be held accountable or punished for it. You know what I'm saying? Here's the truth. What they can interpret it however they want, and so that's what they'll do. They'll take a lot of pictures and selfies and that sort of thing. Now, if we stay stuck in that and we keep ourselves stuck into adulthood, then we fall into the dysfunctional aspect, which is shifting from truth to judgment. And this is a very black and white way of looking at things, because in that world, the truth is not allowed, and the truth is demonized. And so we project this into now our world, and it becomes no longer about what the truth is, but basically being right. So it goes from being, I'm a truth teller and I stand in the truth. That's great. But if you then create an environment that is so black and white, that you become like entrenched, like this is my truth.
Give me a call. Sorry.
Okay.
That's all right. Shut it off. Go ahead.
So yeah, so if you become so entrenched in your truth that it's no longer about the truth, it's just about, I know that this new evidence was brought up, but that is in conflict with my truth. So I'm no longer, engaged with the truth. I don't want to be wrong. And so that's when we're out of alignment with the truth. And that's where we get aggressive, belligerent. We're screaming and, calling other people liars. And we used to be in the truth, but we've gone dysfunctional. And now the only thing that matters is that we're right. And so that would be the dysfunctional aspect of someone with the primary energy center of the truth. And that's how they cut off their vital force energy and become negative. So your other one, you have any questions on that?
Not really. You're really hitting it 100%. I mean, you're so right.
Yeah, people really resonate with this, and they're all so different. that, and everybody I read for is typically complete strangers to me. So I'm getting like real truthful information. And I never know that. I just go with what I get, which I've learned to do. I didn't in the beginning. It was like I really didn't trust what I got. But as I got more and more people to be like, oh yeah, that's so true. And I'm looking at the entire human spectrum. So I have to every soul possible. What could be their characteristics, blocks, restrictions, and all that. So um, everybody is just so unique. It's just, and I love it because I get to experience everybody as their unique soul self, and it's wonderful. I love it. So your other one is divine love, and I'll be honest with you, before I realized about that light power imaging, you came through as just divine love.
Really?
And yes, yes. And that's sort of where what I was talking about at a soul level. Um, and I don't care what your energy. In fact, I love that it's your divine truth also. But I think you thought it might be not your conscious mind, but just more powerful um, to be just divine love. Um, and so that's sort of how it can happen sometimes. So just know that I'm as a divine truther also. I love that you're divine truth, and I was
Too.
shocked. Huh?
Me too. I'm a
Yeah.
divine truther too.
Oh yes, and there's more than that coming, Joyce. Just wait. Yes, it gets good. Um, and so yes, that's why we're all kind of in this truth community now because um, it's safe to speak our truth, and even if we each have our own personal truth, we all mostly agree on at least the universal truth. And we're all positive souls. And, where we're going um, is in the fifth dimension. And see, that is a unity consciousness. And so we retain our individuality, but we also gain what they call from the law of one a social memory complex. And so that's where you have um, the ability to have a group mind that agrees on just universal type truths. But then we can step back and be our individual expression of it and blah blah blah. But positive souls, that's what unity consciousness is. And so there are certain things we're all going to agree on, and negative souls don't agree on anything. They're in opposition of even to each other. So anyway, so divine love, and this is the energy center of divine love and healing. Clients with this energy as primary, and for you it's second, primary, secondary, are innate experts at being in a relationship. But they really might not in their real life because they're so heavily attacked from childhood. So
That's
it,
me.
yeah, yeah. They are also natural healers. It's but here's the thing. It's not something you do. It's just who you are. There's nothing you have to do to be a natural healer.
I know that about you. I can perceive that about you absolutely, Andrew.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So,
It's in one of your outer frequency fields. I can see it.
yeah. And people will. I mean, I kind of get that feeling for me, but um Joyce can perceive those things better than I can in that particular way. And so, but everybody will on some level, yes, they will, and that's um why you're because you're just naturally like that. But that's so, but you're also beaming that out to the world, and so you are going to be a negative attractor. Um, I mean, it's just, I mean, oh, they're, you're going to be like this beam of, that they're just going to be like drooling over to get to you.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you already know that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not, and so it's natural healers. It's not something they do. It's just who they are. Their healing gift is loving acceptance and non-judgment. They hold a sacred space for others in which they can reclaim the pieces of themselves that they have made wrong, that they have disowned. The greatest value they offer is simply their presence. Generally, we want to spend time with them without knowing why. They love being with people and innately trust them and are willing to share just about anything with them because they're so non judgmental. They are frequently excellent listeners because they create such a natural, sacred space of non judgment. They're incredibly giving people um, who can easily turn into doormats, though, and they can become depleted because of this trait. People may take advantage of their generous and giving nature. They are natural healers, whether they do this formally or informally. They bring us back into our wholeness through loving self acceptance and non judgment. They tend to need close relationships and love taking care of others and being taken care of and nurturing and being nurtured. It's all about interdependency and relationship for them. They need people to relate to and be in a relationship with, even if it's not romantic, just something. They find their greatest success when they're both supporting others and being supported, when they uphold healthy boundaries in their relationships. They make excellent managers in the business world because they truly make their teams feel cared for. They evoke incredible loyalty in the people that work for them, and they excel in any environment where people must feel nurtured, from hospitality to healthcare, and are gifted at creating great customer service experiences. The negative polarity of this energy center is a lack of support. They must address or eliminate situations in which they feel they are going it alone with nobody to help, nurture, or support them. Because these people are so relationship centric, they must at times learn to be more conditional with the people around them. We're not in 5D. We can't even do unconditional love yet, but we can do our best to be less and less conditional. But there are certain people um, we have to be conditional with.
Yep.
And so if we're not, um, we're going against our divine soul blueprint. So just know that. Um, so they have to be, um, they at times have to learn to be more conditional with the people around them. They have to be discerning as to how much they give without receiving in return. They also frequently have to learn to say no. It's appropriate to receive as much as we give in relationships. However, when they feel unsupported, fourth energy center people tend to model by giving what they want to receive, which can backfire. That's what I was doing when I was putting more energy into an energy center that isn't even my top two, or I don't even think it was my top four. And so we tend to model that so that people will go, oh, okay, that's what they want. So they can give and expect others to give back in return, which often never happens. So instead of renegotiating or eliminating those relationships, fourth energy center people will then tend to double down on all the modeling of what they wish to receive, giving even more. In this way, they may end up resentful and depleted and end up in the dysfunctional aspect of this energy center, which is the martyr who gives without ever receiving anything back. When they are in depletion from lack of this support, they have a tendency to go into helplessness. Instead of seeking to be truly supported and nurtured, this is the dysfunctional aspect of it. They want someone to just handle aspects of their life for them. They will abdicate responsibility for their finances, aspects of their business, etc., all in the name of being supported, but actually end up disempowered and even more helpless in this process. They may slip into victimization as well as depletion, feeling that the world is a very unfair place in which they always give but never receive back. Okay, so that's how you navigate your two energy centers. That again is the most important information that you just need to retain, and you need to keep it with you for the entire time of your soul's existence. Okay, so then we get into the soul group of origination. And basically what this is, as I told you, your divine soul blueprint was created at the moment of your soul's creation. It's perfect as you were then. And what happens is, at some point we reach, okay, this is going to be our first incarnation somewhere. And for most souls, it is somewhere in our solar system or galaxy. So there's a few, and I've met them, wanderers or explorers who we don't know where they come from. Those are the parallels.
Mhm.
But for the most part, and most people on the earth are earthers. They've never incarnated anywhere else. Those are the people who totally buy into the 3D life. They're here for it. They love it. They know nothing different. They're happy to be asleep, and they are here to play the game. And so if you can't reach some people, that's probably why.
Yeah.
But there are masters now. There are earther masters who are now part of the light workers, and they've been here for so long. They've mastered 3D and earth, and they're ready to ascend. And so they're great people to hook up with if you got stuff to do, and like, especially for people younger than us who still have a lot of life left where they've got to be in 3D. If they can hook up with earthers who are who want this to be their last lifetime, they want to ascend, those will be the masters of how to make it in this life, in this 3D realm. And to do it the right way, righteously, doing no harm to others, or they wouldn't be able to ascend. But otherwise, they'll be able to sort of understand the star seeds and that sort of thing. But the lifers, the new younger souls, forget it. But so your soul group of origination, now this is the first place we go to incarnate, and it is the vibration. That place has the vibration that is closest to our soul's vibration. That's why we go there first. And for you, it is Mintaka or Orion.
No shit.
Yeah.
I'm in talking too.
Do what? Oh,
Yeah, I
okay.
knew you were my brother, Andrew. I knew it.
Oh, I'm not even, just wait. I'm not even done. And we can talk about that because you have an underlay as a blueprint deliverer. And, Joyce is a blueprinter. And
My brother.
You're my brother.
And so
What?
You're my brother. I never had one.
And so, yes, basically, you guys are, when I saw that, I'm like, oh, hell yeah, that's their connection. It's their blueprinter stuff. And I just,
That's why you are so connected to the water, bro. You're talking.
exactly.
I'm sorry, Michelle. Tell me to shut up.
No, you're exactly right. It's a water world. And, there are certain things about Mintakans that, they you will almost never find an etheric implant with them because they won't consciously do certain things. Let me see if I can find that. Uh, Mintakins almost never present with negative etheric implants. They're not usually capable of sustaining a conscious negative choice. So just know that. But that's
Yeah,
etheric.
I think it's our crystalline nature is a little different. I don't know that because I read that or anybody told me that. There's something that's different about our silicate crystalline nature somewhere.
Do what now? Sorry, I had two calls.
There's something different about our silicate crystalline nature, Mintakan.
Oh, well, you're supposed to be taking it. I just ordered another bottle for me. Star seeds are supposed to take silica.
Oh.
I will hook you up with the Starseed hotline.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because we were totally amphibious, essentially. Not really like you think of a frog, but I'm just telling you what I know in myself. Like
no, that's
the
totally
form that we were in, which was more plasma, more like plasma, we were what you would call amphibious.
yeah.
Completely.
So her definition is, and you know, not everything you read out there is accurate. I will just tell you that. But she's got Mintaka is located in the constellation of Orion.
Yep.
Most Mintakans will recognize this constellation and constantly look at it in the night sky.
My whole life.
Yeah, yeah. My son's girlfriend, same thing. But she's also Palladian. But anyway, she's got an overtone of Mintaka. This Mintaka was a water world and a somewhat utopian civilization where no one made conscious negative choices.
Yep.
Mintakans have a very hard time with the amount of willful negativity on our planet. They do
Ain't
not.
that right?
Huh?
I'm saying, ain't that right?
Yeah.
Andrew, we just can't figure it out.
Right.
They don't understand choices to go to war, to hurt others, to lie, or to be mean.
Yep.
Their great gift is to see only the positive potential in others. And this makes us feel extremely good about ourselves. This is where the light power imaging kind of ties in. And I'm the same way. I only see people as their higher self. And it has almost destroyed me, but I've decided, hell no, I'm not dumping that portion of myself because even though when I was not awake, the negatives got away with manipulating me with that. When I use it with good and positive people, it's beautiful. And so I'm not erasing that part of myself. We just have to do it with discernment.
Filters. So many filters.
Yeah. Now, Hawkins often have rose-colored glasses on.
Huh.
They focus on the positive side of life. The glass is always half full, and every cloud has a silver lining. They're often completely blindsided by other people's choices for negativity. They simply don't understand these choices. Mintakans do not have the capacity to make conscious negative choices. If they know it's wrong, they can't do it. They tend to invest heavily in other people's potential. They're usually everyone's cheerleader and the person others turn to when they need to feel good about themselves. So they need to develop greater discernment. I mean, this is all ties together. So just know it's all supporting different facets of you. But the good thing is, at soul level, you're not in conflict with yourself. It's only when we either cover it up or earn the negative polarity of it that it becomes a conflict. But as you can see, at their best expression, when there's nothing negative bumping up against it or negatives coming in to manipulate, then all of these things beautifully express one another, support one another, are this beautiful expression. Um, and that's where we want to be, because at your core, you're this beautiful soul, who has no conflict, no inner conflict. But here, you're going to really feel it. And I know that from my own experience. Um, so Mintakans need to develop greater discernment between someone's potential and the truth of who they actually are, as evidenced by their choices and current consequences. We must always look at the results. I have to delete the potential. I have to delete what they say they're going to do, period. Unless they've gained my trust, because I've seen over and over again that this person's results, it'll speak for itself. Either they'll walk their talk or they won't. And when they don't, we have to accept that they're showing and telling us exactly who we are. And we must remain in truth and respond to those results and not the potentials. So we have a tendency, Mintakans have a tendency to take on people as projects.
Yeah.
Ha,
Sound like our past love lives, brother?
yeah.
And this is especially true of Mintakan women in romantic relationships. They tend to pick partners based on who that person wants to become rather than who they are. They also tend to overestimate others. Most people actually never step into their potential. They just enjoy being in the energy of someone who upholds it for them. They can end up highly disillusioned and disappointed by others. They give people 4, 5, 6 chances, even when they're being heavily taken advantage of, because they don't expect negative choices from others, because that's what they didn't do in Mintakit. So they must focus on embracing their own potential and leveraging it, with their ability, and actually leveraging their ability to uplift others and bring out the best of them in a way that serves them rather than exhausts them. So have people chase you for this ability that you have of reflecting. You don't have to do it in the light power imaging way. Do it in a natural way, if that makes sense. You're not changing who you are for them, and you're not changing who they really are. You're just in your truth, and fuck them, and let them decide and be, and they'll show who they are eventually.
Yeah.
And then when they do, accept it and believe it, and then act accordingly. So they have an odd relationship with water. They love being around it and in it. But some Mintakans don't like dark water, such as the ocean or a lake, because on their home world, sun was filtered through to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
So water is very healing for element for the Mintakans, although being near it often fulfills that purpose, because their home world is no longer inhabitable, because they had the war with the reptilians. Mintakans often feel a strange, sad longing for home. They
Mm-hmm.
love so they love working from home and tend to be nesters. So,
Me.
so that's you at soul level. Now, okay,
Yep.
but you've also got the blueprint deliverer. So I'm going to explain that. And this is I run into these people a lot. In fact, I just found yesterday, his wife dragged him kind of to me. Otherwise, I never would have met him, because his level, we'll just say his kind, would not be coming to. They already know what's going on. But within the blueprint soul group is where we don't identify with a planet or hang on one sec. This woman just keeps calling and texting me, and because we did have an appointment for today, but she never paid for the session. She never got back. She never responded to anything, and now she's showing up for it. And I'm like,
Oh,
hang on,
shit.
I'm just gonna tell her, yeah.
I'm glad you're getting calls.
And I didn't know I was supposed to pay beforehand. Yeah, we had a conversation about that. So let me just tell her real quick.
Yeah, you should at least require some kind of deposit, Michelle.
Oh, that's what I told her. And I almost said okay, because I did her sister first. And but then I told her, I'm like, I really do, because I've had a few people that have like really been gung ho they're gonna do this, and then I never hear from them again.
Yeah,
And I would have wasted 6 hours maybe.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
still do the work.
Yeah.
If they can't pay full, they need to at least pay half.
Yeah, and I mean, she was supposed to pay 2 days ago. That was the plan. All right, I'm in a right now. Hang on. Okay. All right. You guys still there?
Yeah, we're
Okay. So anyway, yesterday I met or not yesterday, last week or so, a blueprint designer. Anyway, and my big plan is I'm going to gather the blueprinters together. I'm going to try anyway. I'm like,
Huh.
there's got to be a reason I'm collecting like blueprinters at every subgroup, every level. But anyway, so I'm going to do my best to describe this to you. But basically, Andrew, here's the deal. Blueprinters are the group of souls um, who imagined, came up with the original idea, um, then took it from an idea to an actual plan, by both designing it and executing it and um, testing it out, and then making whatever tweaks and fixes were necessary. And that's how to put a soul into a human body. And so these are the group of souls who wanted to design and engineer the human experience. They wanted to see what it would be like to be able to exercise your divine self-expression within a human body. So at the very blow out these candles. I'm gonna walk outside so I can smoke. But basically, at the very top level are the blueprint originators. And these people are the ones who came up with the idea. These are the souls that they're going to be the powerful, righteous people of our world. Okay, they're going to be, you know, I don't know, the Trumps, if these people are truly positively polarized, they're just going to be people they will incarnate into wealthy families. They will get great educations, even if it's not a traditional education. Um, and they don't come here a lot, but they do to oversee it or to make big changes. And like right now is that time. And so these are the big picture people. They will come here when there are, big events or big changes that they want to see happen with humanity. The next level is the blueprint designers. And these are the souls who designed the body. These are the artists. These are the people who are typically those, artists who create just either mind-blowing stuff or stuff that, not the rest of us can really relate to. And many times they are disconnected from the world because they're just creating art. These are just deeply artistic people. And I literally met one. And typically I would never see these people. I'll never meet an originator because it was the originator's idea. And so they've already got all this figured out. They designed the whole human experience. So they're not going to come looking to, little old me for advice. And typically the blueprint designers don't either. They don't, they're creating their art and they sort of innately know things too, but sometimes they get a little twisted because nobody understands their art sometimes or whatever. But this gentleman was he makes movies. And so I did a reading for him that really kind of blew him away. But and his wife, who was the original customer, she is in movies. She's been an actress, I guess, for 20 years or so. I wasn't familiar with her, but so anyway, he can have a large impact on people. Let me go to the next level. Next, you got the engineers, and I believe this is like Joyce. These are the analytical people who are very, interested in how things run and operate, and just, they're very smart people. They're technicians. They are very oriented around functionality and how things work. So these are typically, if you're not very awake, especially, they'll be engineers, doctors, scientists, software developers, and highly innovative in their field. They're typically drawn to knowledge and research and all that kind of thing. And they're very rational, highly mentally oriented. And then the next level is the blueprint deliverers, which is you. Now here's the exciting part about the role that you play, is that your group was even though they were the factory workers, you guys were the physical explorers, where, you had the originators who were creative and thinking up the idea. Then you have the artist side of it with designing the body and all its beautiful components. And then you got the analytical part of the group who, must be able to make this thing work, and be repairable and blah, blah, blah. And then you've got the deliverers, and these are um, the people who are going to physically test drive all this shit.
Mm.
So your group was the very first souls to ever incarnate in a human body. And so, these are basically, I think they're pretty fearless. So, whenever you feel like you're not, um, just know that, you identify with, there's this part of you that was part of this group. This is a flavor to your Mintaka self. And you identify with that. But anyway, so what they did is they actually got in, and they would see what needed to be tweaked, what needed to be adjusted, fixed, whatever. And then they would give it to the blueprint changers, which is the last part of the group. And then those were the people, those are the fixers. Those people are going to, take all the information from all the other subgroups, put it all together, and they're going to, tweak and fix everything for its the final production. And so everybody has their role. And you're all very karmically tied to Earth. It's very important that people in these blueprint groups have the ability to raise consciousness within humanity on Earth, because you are so karmically tied. You put all this, energy into creating this experience. And so and the different groups will incarnate into different subgroups also of humanity. And that will kind of coincide with who their soul group is. And so you get the originators that are going to incarnate at, world leader type levels. Then you get the designers who are, who have the potential, like my client, who could make a movie, which he's already made, like a $1 or $10 million movie or something. But he's just kind of, he hasn't hit his home run yet, or had the right exposure or funding or whatever it is. But anyway, so someone like that who has the potential to, with their art, because he's making all these movies about this cosmos and space and all this stuff, and kind of like a Star Wars, intergalactic type of thing. And now he's got a whole wealth of information after talking to me, and especially because of his wife, because his wife is a soul from Maldak, which is the planet that blew itself up.
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Wow.
so was my
Quite a
grandson.
combination.
Yeah. My grandson is soul group of origination is Maldak, and his overtone is Mars.
I remember when you told me that. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
And my teak now, and so I keep thinking, and my son is Mars. His dad is Mars with Hadar as an overtone. And I've had a couple other Meldocs. They're always extremely empathic. I mean, just so sweet souls. Anyway, and I've had but there's such a heaviness, because they did. And are you familiar with Maldak?
Yeah, it blew up.
Yeah. That's our asteroid belt now. It blew off the face of Mars, making it uninhabitable, and it knocked Earth on its axis.
Mhm.
So, you know, these. So anyway, so his wife is a Meldakian. So now they have this whole new stuff to add, and he's going to add this to his movie. So anyway, that
Oh
level,
my God.
Yeah. So, and she's like she's Latina, and she's been on like several movies and TV shows, and I haven't turned on my TV in like 2.5 years. So, and I was never big into movies. So anyway, I don't know. Anyway, so there's a lot of potential there, from an artistic standpoint. That's his art, is filmmaking, storytelling. Um, and then we get into, and so they'll come in, and there's sort of another level of influence, not the world leader kind, but somebody's got to do the next level. Somebody has to come in on Earth and influence that next level of where they've got a little bit of you know power or influence, but not world domination kind, but enough to, if they make a name for themselves, they could have an impact. And then you've got, and the groups get bigger, as we go down into the regular folk. And so then you get the engineers. So now those people are going to have an influence on analytical groups, science, that's a hard group to raise the consciousness. And
Huh?
they're almost, in opposition of consciousness. But if we could reach them in large numbers, then we could show them that spirituality and science actually support one another beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get down into the deliverers, such as yourself. And then you're getting, let me see, hang on one sec. You're getting into the soul group, the average citizens like ourselves. But the ones who are really empathic are going to be more, they're going to be very hands-on. So they'll be like the educators, the social workers running, nonprofits or charitable organizations. So basically, they're going to help out those who are disadvantaged. So they're going to get in the trenches just like they did at soul level to be the first ones to test drive the human body. Um, and so, they want to make sure that people at the regular levels and on the kind of fringes of society, but not too far out, that they all have a chance to get the benefits of humanity, whatever the human experience is. But here's the thing. They have to make sure that they don't delivers exhaust themselves trying to help people who don't want to help themselves.
Mm.
So while we can certainly promote the message of equality and empowerment, deliverers must learn that many people don't want the response, and that's just it. People in opposition of the truth and knowledge, they don't want the responsibility that goes with it. So they'd rather say, forget it. I don't want to know, don't tell me, because again, um, hang on one sec, my mother. Okay. What? We'll just lay down, and I will come check on you. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay. Anyway. So basically, you can find yourself leading horses to water, because if people, hang on, I gotta take a drink. If people get too much,
That's my freaking life, leading horses to water.
yeah, and because knowledge equals power, but power equals responsibility, and people don't want it.
Right, that's right.
They really don't. And so they'd rather be blissfully ignorant and have no accountability. So just know that. That's your result too. That, don't waste any of your energy on that. Because our result is that, I mean, like my mom, I've tried to help her 10,000 different ways and she will have none of it.
No,
None of it.
no.
So, but then they just want to ruminate on the same shit over and over and are upset if you don't help them. But then everything you offer is rejected. And by the way, there are no solutions. So she's programmed herself that there are no solutions, period. And so, all I get if I offer anything is that I'm wrong. That's not what the TV says. That's not the right religious way, just stupid shit. So, anyway, you have to just at some point say, you know what, even if it's my elderly mother in pain, that is serving her. That's getting her the attention she needs
Yeah,
because she made so many negative choices against. She's a divine truther, a Palladian, and she is now a negative soul. And Palladians are though, and I'm Palladian Arcturius. Um, and
you're Arcturian too?
yes, yep,
Oh, okay. The Palladian I can see like clear as day, but I think I forgot about the Arcturian.
yeah. And so, but I'm also been told I'm Lyran, and and I've got somebody gave me a lifetime in Orion, so I think I've been kind of everywhere. But the soul group of origination is always just the first place. So it's always going to have some level of vibration because that was the closest thing when you were originally created. So, and that's why we get so far away from it, as we, go around the universe or whatever, is because, it could be a long time since we've been there. And we just add other flavors to it. But anyway, so you have to basically disengage from that because the dysfunctional aspect of that soul group, the deliverers, is disempowerment because they focus so much on inequality that they forget that we are, in fact, all divine beings who are creating our own experience through choice. So we don't have to see those other people as helpless, like even my mother. She has created exactly where she's at by choice. Now that doesn't mean I should be an an uncompassionate bitch, but I have to know the limit. I have to be able to see the game, um, and remain compassionate and loving. However, um, I'm not going to be, and I try my best. This is the problem with negative because it's always manipulation.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they will use that till they could be in zero pain, and
It's
I've
exhausting.
yes, and it's 24/7, and you could see the mask slipping when you're not in the room. They're just fine. They see you come in the room, and you can watch them. It's a whole act. I mean, she deserves an Oscar. I'm telling you, it's crazy. So you just have to be discerning, and it in my best interest, I shouldn't even be here, but um, and I don't intend to for a real long time because it's not good for me, and she doesn't make decisions that are good for either one of us. So
Well,
you
at
know,
least logistically, you're making some money now, so you can make a change in
yes,
it. You just, I mean, you
exactly,
had no choice for a minute.
exactly. Um, so and then you've got the blueprint changers. These were the fixers, and these are the people that will frequently incarnate into situations of violence, dealing with victimization, sexual abuse, slavery, human trafficking. Those people, I mean, it's horrible, but when it gets overwhelming, because I can't handle it sometimes, it's just so. sad and disgusting. But we have to remember that they chose to incarnate in those situations to bring awareness and raise the consciousness at that level of humanity also.
They're helping us. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And
Massively.
so, you know, I mean, God, what incredible. So you have to understand that when we try to put this group of blueprinters into some type of hierarchy, which it sort of sounded like as I'm describing it, but in reality, it's not. Because when you think about how strong does the soul have to be one of these blueprint changers, and how maybe much little is asked of the blueprint originators. But you know, in another experience, it might be flipped, you know. And really, the blueprint changers might have to be the strongest, but in reality, they're responsible for the least. And so that's just another flip. And you look at the blueprint originators, you know, they seem to have the best incarnations, but they're carrying the most responsibility for humanity. So, you know, I don't know. That's why we don't try to judge, and we try to disengage from seeing things from a hierarchy perspective. So anyway, that is half of the soul profile. And that's the most important aspects of who you are. I will tell you, your soul vibration is a 5.9. So what does that mean? When you hit 6.0, you are living, breathing, and working your divinity. And then it gets tricky after 6.0. So you're 1 point away. When we literally remove all this stuff and you start experiencing yourself as your true, you know, in your true nature, and get to know the real you, then it'll be so much easier. And I mean, you're this close to just living your best life. You just, you know, whatever's missing, um, the energy will be there to support you to live your best life. Now, what you choose to do with it is up to you. I will also tell you that you are at the level where most people will sit and coast for the rest of their life. So it's up to you. I will tell you, you've also got a second God spark. What does that mean? Every soul has the, you know, the original one to get our vital force energy. The positive souls do. When we have a second God spark, typically that means, well, it means we're getting extra vital force energy, like a double dose. Why? Because it's usually the souls who are going to have an impact on humanity. And so, depending on what chakra it's on, will kind of give you a clue. Yours, you don't have to have this to have an impact on the world, but it is going to help you for sure. Now, some do it with just one God spark, and some get to choose. It'll show up to me as a candidacy for a second God spark, and that means there's a fork coming up in the road where they can make a choice. Do I want to have this greater impact on humanity or not? When I see it as already established from birth, basically, it means you've already made that decision, but you don't have to. Like, it's not a requirement. If you've got one, you have to do it. But you will get more vital force energy than the average person, and it's so that you can do this. And so you should have more heightened intuitive abilities, and you should see that coming in even more.
And that's so true, Andrew, because considering she doesn't know about all your injuries and things, you have an amazing amount of vital force energy for what your body has endured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mentally
Uh,
too, I've had a lot.
yeah. So, and some of those are not serving you, whatever you've had done, and we'll talk about that, and we'll fix it. So anyway, so secondary God sparks are usually a sign that a person has a chosen a path of impact on the rest of the world. They're not going to be the souls that just quietly go to work, come home, make dinner, watch TV, and go to bed for their whole life, typically. But it doesn't mean you're required to do that. So she like wants you to make sure you hammer that home that you got choice. It's always about choice. I will also tell you you have 30 white lights, which is the most soul can have. Um, Anybody who's got 30 white lights, basically that is multi-dimensional beings that uphold the energy of our intentions for us. So we attract them when we set intentions.
That's why you see all those UFOs, dude.
Yeah.
That's why you find all those artifacts. You vibrate to them.
Yep.
That's
You
right.
know, you tune your radio dial and you know where to find them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this will be cosmic support, angelic support, any type of higher dimensional support. And it's basically, and this can be done through prayers, spiritual requests. But and so the more we focus on creating what we want through intention, the more of those lights we attract. So whatever way you're communicating, you're putting that intention out there. And
He does it. He does it through the water of all things.
Okay, well, there's another.
Of course he does.
Right, and it's being heard, and responded to.
Yep.
Once we hit 30, then we are eligible for blue lights, and blue lights will essentially amplify our intentions even more.
I remember I had blue lights. I don't remember how many, but I remember I had some.
And Andrew has got 3. The most my teacher had ever seen was 8. So you're up there, dude. Basically, so what that happens is they'll help us attract and manifest events in our lives, such as coincidences and opportunities that either show us the path towards our intentions or let us know it's incongruent to who we are at soul level. So you're going to get direction so that you could either follow or continue on or course correct because you hit a bump. But it's going to help you navigate that.
And sometimes that shit comes like a ton of bricks, like a tsunami.
Yeah. Right here. This could be a double-edged sword.
Yep. I've been through some of those. It's like you have to turn a sea freighter on a 90-degree angle in the middle of the ocean. That's what it feels like. Crazy.
Yeah. Because if our intentions are misaligned to our divine self-expression, and that is typically why most people won't have blue lights, but it's actually going to help us because if we're misaligned, that misalignment is very powerfully going to impact us in highly unpleasant ways.
Yep. It hurts to have blue lights.
Yeah.
It hurts to earn them and it hurts to keep them.
Yeah. But we just need to look at our results.
Yeah.
And we'll take a new direction, a different direction, and then it won't be. It's just information to guide us. So for people who don't have very many white lights, it just means they're not being very intentional. They're kind of like on autopilot. And they just need to amplify that. because this is the response system. And so we have to pay attention to our results. That's our response, to navigate us through these, you know, when we can't see ahead. Um, so, um, your primary life lesson, is achievement. Now, this doesn't mean we come here as literal primary life lesson achievement. No, it means that all the lessons you're currently learning will be centered around achievement. However, we have to understand that energy is a spiral, and to achieve completion, we have to understand the lesson at every angle. So when we talk about achievement, we have to understand the lesson of our own achievements, other people's achievements, a lack of achievement, and you know, how best to navigate all those scenarios, supporting other people's achievement. How do we get people to support ours, you know, in a do no harm type of way? And so you're 81% complete with that. And so when someone is that close, I look for a second life lesson, and yours is tenacity. And again, we must see it from all angles, and you're 77% complete with that. And again, because that's so high, and that's what I usually find in middle age and above for awake people, is they're wrapping up all their life lessons. But we'll always have one. We can't be here without one. So your third one was recognition, and I've got of your true self, like operating fully in your divine self-expression as you are, without giving yourself away or your energy away, without having to mask it or change it, to accommodate other people. That was my feel of recognition for you, and being proud of it. And you're 61% complete with that. You've got your 91% connected subconsciously with your higher self. You're 97% consciously connected. So those are very high. And it's probably because your two soul specializations were, and this is how we navigate through our multi-dimensionality and express our souls through that process, is you've got two of them. We always have between 1 and 3. The first one is design biology, which goes with the blueprinters stuff. And the second is intention. So you're very good at being intentional. And so, but you can be that way on the outside in an extroverted way. You don't have to keep it in, so internally, I mean, you can be internally focused, but you can be that same expression on the outside now. And because it works very well for you. And when you are positively expressing this, you can show other people how to do it and stand in your power, and not have to be anything than what you are. And that's kind of what awake people are doing now. They're showing people how to be whoever they want to be without, we're all different. We're united in universal principles and laws and understanding, wisdom, but we allow each other to be free as to who we are, without judgment and disowning and discrediting people because they're different. That's 3D. That's where all the wounding happens. you don't have to be like me for me to appreciate, respect, and honor who you are. Um, Instead, we'll honor those differences. And so that's kind of what, the Awaken, Aware, and Star Seeds are here to do. And so it didn't used to be safe to do that, though. I mean, in past lives, we were hung and burned alive for being who we are. So we clammed up for many lifetimes, and learn how to not be who we are. So we just have to unlearn that and just break away from those old habits. Um, so, what else? What else? All right, that's basically the soul level stuff.
All right, I have to go pretty soon. So
Okay.
if you've got
Well,
one part of it complete, I've got to be in court at 6 o'clock.
in court?
Yeah,
Oh my God, I don't even know what time it is. What time is
it's
it?
5 o'clock almost.
Oh my God. Well,
It's for a traffic ticket. It's not a big deal.
okay. Well, next comes all the blocks and restrictions. Um, so you tell me if you want to start kind of digging into this, or if you want, and you have, by the way, counting present life, we are going to clear 4 lifetimes. 4 lifetimes worth of crap came up for you. And that's going to be a huge dump. And you're going to get a ton of vital force energy coming in. So, whatever you, and they are some of them are quite interesting. You might be a little shocked.
Well, I did some past life regression after I saw my first UFOs.
Did you?
Yeah, all of a sudden the person I saw the UFO with said, I got this book on hypnosis. Let's do past life regression." And we were just teenagers, and we just did it on each other.
Oh wow, okay. Well, I got well, your present life is one. Then there is the next, and they are grouped together based on karmic patterns. The second karmic pattern is 15 lifetimes ago, as a male in Tibet, between 200 and 100 BC.
Oh my God. I saw the Tibetan monks sing, and they put me in a trance. My eyes closed when they started singing. They put me in a trance.
Yes.
I couldn't open my eyes.
Yeah, yeah. That's, I mean, there's your synchronicity, alignment. Yeah, yeah. Because you already know all this at soul level. So that is one lifetime, 15 lifetimes ago. So that's present life, 15 lifetimes ago. The third karmic pattern was 4 lifetimes ago. You were a male in Iceland, between 1400 and 1500 AD. I always check these dates to make sure, like the blueprint designer. I went back. It was just present life and one other lifetime that came up for him. But understand that every time I do this, there's more lifetimes that comes up in another layer. But his went back 24 lifetimes. It was the furthest back I'd ever gone with anyone, and
Wow.
his was Mayan, and so I had to check and make sure that what was being presented to me was like Mayans were actually on the earth then. And so I had to find out I didn't know if Tibetans were on the earth during that time. And they were. And the Mayans were when I pulled up for his was between 700 and 800 BC. So anyway, I try to have a little bit of responsibility because my teacher always emphasizes, our guides don't do math, so I got to check my percentages to make sure they're up to 100 when that's required, and whatever. So if I pick, I don't know, some culture that they didn't live back then, there's some conflict with what I'm pulling up, and it's on me, in some way. So I always kind of try to check that. So anyway, that third lifetime was, yeah, and what I got is it between 400 and 1500 AD. So I was, and this is just my Claire cognizance, like this just comes to me. I'm getting that you're coming from Iceland and exploring America, like settling some of your people. And so before Columbus, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then karmic pattern number 4 was 6 lifetimes ago, again as a male, with the Hawaiian Islands and the Polynesians, settling that between 1200 and 1300 AD. And that was like another wave of the Polynesians coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And but what came in also was a very distorted, like religion kind of stuff. And the then the Hawaiians started losing, all of their natural stuff and blah blah blah, and then all the karmic stuff comes in and giving our power away, and so we can talk about, because like this is just lifetime one and two, all the blocks and restrictions.
Wow.
So, and for it to clear, I clear it energetically and spiritually by setting an intention in your record of what I've identified based upon your higher self saying you're ready to release. But it basically, if you were to do nothing from here on, it would just dissolve. It just sort of sits there waiting for you to agree and give your permission, and then new action, perform your new action, because we're in 3D. But if you don't do any of that, then nothing happens, because I have no power over you and I don't want to. I'm just supporting you and clearing it at that level,
Mm-hmm.
which puts in more vital force energy for you to then make these new changes and habits and be aware. So now you're like, you start seeing this stuff coming, a mile away. And then your action and agreement, and I send you something that you basically read, is how it all kind of kicks off. So I will get into all of these with you so that you clearly understand it. It's all the who, how, where, how it's affecting you, at what dimensional level, how it's expressed, where it's coming from, who the players are, blah blah blah, and so that you truly understand. It's not vague. You know what I mean? So that you can recognize it in yourself and in others and get out of these things.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So
I
we
really
can
have to run, Michelle. Thank you so much for this. And um, I made a video out of it, so I probably will release it. But
You should edit some of it.
yeah,
Don't put the whole thing out.
okay. Yeah, I can do that.
just get back with me when you want to reschedule,
Okay.
and we'll get into all that other stuff, and then get you on, finishing up this healing stuff.
Okay. Sorry, I have to run. I wish I could stay
No,
for
that's
it.
fine.
It's so interesting.
All right, just keep in touch. Let me know.
Okay. Bye, you guys.
And
Bye.
thank you for letting me do this for you too,
Oh,
because
thank you.
it teaches me. So I appreciate that.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.